See if you guys can hear me now. All right. I don't know what happened there. The mic was disconnected. All right. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Let me redo the intro. Appreciate everybody tuning in to this afternoon's live commentary coverage of Quaker State 400 qualifying at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, or at least formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway, now Echo Park Speedway here in Atlanta. This is going to be a fun race this weekend. A lot of slipping and sliding in hot Atlanta. High temperatures for the track temp. Even with cooler nighttime conditions, it's going to make for a very entertaining show, both for tonight's NASCAR Xfinity race and tomorrow night's NASCAR Cup Series race. No cars on the racetrack for this weekend up to this point for the Cup Series side. Xfinity Series just wrapped up their qualifying session not that long ago. And as far as the Cup Series goes, again, no practice for this weekend, just qualifying. No practice for the drafting style racetracks this season for any of the top three series except for Speed Week during the Daytona 500 buildup. As far as today goes, this is the return to NASCAR on TNT and Turner Motorsports. So they have the coverage for this afternoon's qualifying session. Specifically, if you want to look for visuals for this weekend's qualifying session for the NASCAR Cup Series, which is currently live airing on True TV. That is where you can find that. We'll have full session commentary for you here on the channel as well, obviously via me. Mark Evans, Steve, thanks for tuning in. Patrick Shadley, Marcus Villarreal, Bam Hall, many others, welcome into the stream. I see the emails on the chat, and I don't know if it's like that just for me or not. So whatever your email is, I'm going to see that over your channel name for some reason. So if I don't usually call you by your regular name, I appreciate you tuning in. Dustin Brandt, thanks for tuning in as well. Thinks Tyler Reddick is going to win. We shall see. It's the start of the in-season tournament for NASCAR as well. If you watched any of the Prime broadcast, you would know that Adam Alexander, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Steve Letarte were in the booth. Well, they're all in the booth again for these 5 TNT races for the NASCAR Cup Series as well. We'll be hearing Adam Alexander on the call for tonight's race on the CW for the various points that you guys can listen to the commentary as we are doing our own commentary right here on the channel. 40 cars on the entry list for this weekend. Nobody will be going home, but we will have a full field, so 4 open entries on top of all the chartered race teams. And we'll start things off in qualifying with David Starr, who will be driving the 66 for MBM this weekend. He's only had one start at Atlanta in his Cup career. It was in 2011 where he finished 29th that day. Connor Zilich driving the 87 car for Trackhouse Racing, making his first ever race at Atlanta, his third ever start in the NASCAR Cup Series, second on an oval, and his first start, of course, since Coca-Cola 600 last month. Corey LaJoie will return to the NASCAR Cup Series this weekend as well. Obviously running all the speedway / drafting style ovals for Rick Ware Racing in the 01 car entry for this year. He finished 4th at Atlanta in 2023. That's his best finish at the racetrack. He's actually got 2 top 5 finishes with the next-gen car at Atlanta with this new reconfiguration. BJ McLeod, the other open entry in the field for Live Fast Motorsports, 19th for him and his best finish at Atlanta. That was in 2022. He's finished 25th or better in 4 of his last starts at Atlanta. So that's the build up there. Those are the front 4 drivers who are going to start things off, and then we'll get into the chartered entries soon after that, and I'll go more in depth with each driver and their statistical data coming into the Atlanta Motor Speedway, whether they're good, whether they're bad. We'll highlight the in-season tournament throughout this weekend's coverage of the NASCAR channel as well. Head-to-head battles are scrolling across the top of the screen for this weekend's round of 32. If you have not filled out your bracket on NASCAR.com, it's $1 million. So why not try to do that? It's for free. And you well, you can sign up if you aren't already logged in. If you have a fantasy team on the NASCAR app, for instance, if you're in our K or C league, you don't have to sign in. It'll automatically know you're there. But anyway, definitely want to fill out that bracket before tomorrow night, because obviously tomorrow night is the first race of the first round. So definitely hop on that when you can. And I'll highlight my bracket during the pre-race tomorrow. I don't want to go too in detail and in depth during this live commentary stream specifically, because it's going to be a pretty quick stream. The Xfinity Series race starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern later on today, so I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get things moving pretty quickly. Emo Gene Blevins, thanks for tuning in as well. David Beatty Jr., thanks for tuning in. Been doing that on every channel today with the emails. So obviously I haven't been on any other like YouTube channels. So at least with live streams throughout the course of the day. So I had no idea that that was the case. Yeah, I didn't notice it, so I was just looking at the chat to see who was here in the early going. Season in review up to this point, 17 races into the NASCAR schedule coming into this weekend in Atlanta. William Byron is our points leader, as you see on screen. 54-point cushion over Kyle Larson. He extended his lead after last week's race at Pocono slightly. Both Byron and Larson have pretty much about the same performance. Not a lot of stage points, a decent race finish result, but Byron 54 points with 9 races to go in the regular season. Denny Hamlin, despite missing 1 race this year, is third in the standings, minus 78. That race he missed was at Mexico City a couple weeks ago. He finished runner-up last weekend, specifically in Pocono. Christopher Bell, minus 79 points, is fourth, minus 80 for Chase Elliott, rounding out the top 5. Now, the playoff standing side of things. We've had 11 different drivers for the Cup Series season win a race that are locked in. That means 5 drivers as of right now can make it on points. I already mentioned 9 races to go in the regular season. And as far as the regular season standings go, the drivers locked into the playoffs with a win would be 3 apiece for 3 drivers: Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell. And then 1 win apiece for the other 9 drivers with a win, which would be William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, and Shane Van Gisbergen. So now, as we enter this weekend's race, the drivers who would be in on the playoff cut line would be Chase Elliott, who was the highest in the point standings without a win, then Tyler Reddick, then Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, and Alex Bowman. Bowman is the final spot over Ryan Preece by 20 points. And then just behind Ryan Preece in the standings would be AJ Allmendinger on the outside looking in, Eric Jones, and Kyle Busch. One of those drivers on the bubble, Tyler Reddick, standing with Alan Cavana in the garage area.
Yeah, I know. All he wants to do is go to McDonald's, but I got to go out here and lay a lap down. So, yeah, just trying to give him something that's going to hold him over. I don't know what it. Oh, he got crackers finally. Finally got him their crackers. Cookie's a little healthier than crackers. Oh, a little better. We got crackers. So, Dad, progress over here. Good dad, good dad. Hey, look, not only that, $1 million on the line these next few races. Your first matchup is against Kyle Larson. Are you thinking about that already before we even get out here? Well, you know, me and Kyle have a hard time finishing at road courses, so it's going to be a heck of a battle to see who finishes the race. I can't wait to see who wins this battle. Cookies, gum. Want to say anything? You got anything? No. Shannon knows all about this, battling with kids about cookies, crackers, just trying to keep on.
Alan, we got to see if he can blow a bubble. Can you blow a bubble?
Hey, Bo, can you blow a bubble?
What?
Can you blow a bubble?
Oh, hell.
That's kind of how my kids react to me too, by the way.
Well, we're gonna get back to the practice. He'll go try to put a lap down. He'll try to blow a bubble. We'll get back to you on the progress.
You need like a.
I don't know what that interview was. That was, I felt like that was so off the wall. That's Tyler Reddick, everybody. His kid kind of bombarded the interview there a little bit and kind of threw things haywire. Where can I watch this? True TV is airing qualifying currently. Turner Sports, TNT specifically, will have the next 5 NASCAR Cup Series races. Saturday night race this week for the NASCAR Cup Series as well on the channel. First Saturday night race of 4 in the 2025 schedule. The other Saturday night races are Richmond, Bristol night in the playoffs, and then towards the end of the regular season, we'll obviously have Daytona on a Saturday night as well. So those are the 4 Saturday night Cup races this year. We've had a couple of Sunday night Cup races. The Daytona 500 with the rain that they ended up having, Nashville just a few weeks ago, and of course the Coca-Cola 600, but we got a few more yet to go this season. Bones Does, thanks for tuning into the stream also. Shout out to you. And again, a shout out to everybody watching this live commentary stream of Cup Series qualifying at Atlanta Echo Park Speedway, of course, with their new rebrand and name for this weekend. I'm going to say at Atlanta a lot more than Echo Park Speedway, but because this is a live commentary stream and I'm doing realistic commentary for these live commentary streams, I do have to mention it at various points. So if I ever say Echo Park Speedway and somebody might be wondering, well, what the heck is that? And what's an Echo Park Speedway? What is Echo Park? Echo Park is, I think, like an online automotive, I don't know if it's a place where you can buy cars, but I think it's an online deal. I don't think they have actual stores. Maybe they do. I don't know. I think they're based out of Texas, so I've only been to Texas a couple times. I don't think I've ever seen an Echo Park. Anyway, Echo Park Speedway at Atlanta, of course, Hampton, Georgia, where we'd usually see the Atlanta Motor Speedway races in years past. Stuttlebug5, thanks for tuning in. Am I watching qualifying? Well, of course. That's how I'm doing these live streams every weekend. That's how we do the live commentary streams every weekend. We got live commentary as the action is going on. Yes, I do have visuals. I didn't have visuals for Prime Video, I guess if that's what you're alluding to. Last week for qualifying, I got the issue fixed. For some reason, I was logged out of my Prime Video account. So last week during the live commentary stream for qualifying, I had to basically, once cars hit the racetrack to begin qualifying, I'm sure, obviously, we'll get things started here quickly. Currently, they're on a commercial break on True TV. They'll get back to the action soon. And then again, David Starr will be the first driver to qualify for tomorrow's race. Ryan Blaney was a pole sitter earlier this season at Atlanta. So he's trying to get the Atlanta sweep for the pole awards. He finished 4th in that race. And one of the better races of the 2025 season, I'd say, at Atlanta earlier in the spring as well. I'll just leave the point standings on until qualifying begins. We can get the raw feed up. That'll have the qualifying order. I do have it on my phone as well, though, for some reason, if the raw feed's down at the start. So I can keep you informed per usual. Can't talk. I can highlight the in-season tournament. And we can take a look at that on screen. Oh, what the heck's going on here? All right, there we go. There's the bracket. It's enlarged a bit. Hopefully you guys can see it well. Round of 32. Obviously, it's head-to-head. Simple. One driver beats the other driver. You move on to the next round, into the next week's race, which will be at Chicago, so on and so forth, until you get down to 2 drivers. $1 million is on the line. There is a bonus there. So, you know, they've kind of stated over the broadcast, these drivers aren't factoring that in too much. Obviously, they're factored into just trying to win the race. But if the race isn't going well enough for them, they could lean off of, hey, where's so-and-so running? I got to beat them at least to move on into this tournament that's ongoing. And obviously, this is not points merited. This is simply off of where you finish in that race compared to the other driver you're matched up against for that weekend. I did fill out my bracket already, but again, we'll be going over that in the pre-race tomorrow specifically. I'll have a little bit more time to diagnose it. As far as the matchups go, Denny Hamlin versus Ty Dillon. Denny Hamlin is the #1 seed for this tournament. This is based off of the first 3 races of the Prime Video schedule, set up the seeding for this. And then the top 32 in points also set up the seeding for this, and that would have been based off of a couple races ago. So even though Shane Van Gisbergen technically would be in the top 16 in points now because he won at Mexico City 2 weeks ago, the grid was locked up the week before that. So SVG is not in this tournament, as well as everybody else who's outside the top 32 in points as of 2 weeks ago. Denny Hamlin again against Ty Dillon. Dillon the 32 seed, Hamlin the 1 seed. The 16 and 17 matchup, we got Kyle Busch against Brad Keselowski for this week at Atlanta. I think that's going to be a pretty tightly contested battle. They're both very good at this new repaved Atlanta. Alex Bowman, Joey Logano. We've seen Logano win a couple races here. He is the 25 seed. Alex Bowman, not so great at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So he's probably got his work cut out for this weekend's matchup. The 924 matchup is Bubba Wallace against Daniel Suarez. Suarez, a former winner here at Atlanta. Wallace, 2 top 10s in the last 3 races at Atlanta. Nemechek, who had a top 10 here earlier in the spring, goes up against Josh Berry, who led over 50 laps and won a stage in the spring race at Atlanta. So that should be a fun matchup. Chase Elliott versus Austin Dillon for this weekend. Ross Chastain against Eric Jones. Christopher Bell, who was the defending winner at Atlanta, not this race specifically, but he won here in the spring against Ricky Stenhouse Jr., very accomplished drafting style, super speedway style racer, so that should be an interesting match. Could see an upset there. Chase Briscoe, our winner from a week ago at Pocono, against Noah Gragson. Ryan Preece against William Byron. Ryan Blaney, Carson Hocevar, I think is going to be a really good matchup. Hocevar runner-up here in the spring. Blaney 4th, and Blaney's had 6 straight top 10s here, 3 straight top 5s. He's very good at Atlanta, but Hocevar, he's been hot lately too. Blaney's only win this season. Hocevar finished second, so I can very easily see both of those drivers having top 10 runs this weekend. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, again, another heavyweight matchup in this first round. Though not drivers who tend to perform well on a consistent basis at Atlanta. Larson did finish third here in the spring. Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger will be the 11-22 matchup. Ty Gibbs goes up against Justin Haley. Zane Smith against Austin Cindric. Chris Buescher against Todd Gilliland. So those are your 16 matchups for this weekend's round of 32. And again, you can fill out your bracket on NASCAR.com or the NASCAR mobile app. And again, $1 million if you fill out a perfect bracket. If nobody fills out a perfect bracket, the top bracket by way of points earned, you get, for instance, I think it's 40 points a round. But if you score the most points, you still get a $10,000 grand prize. So it's worth entering. Again, it is for free on NASCAR.com. And I'll highlight exactly what my bracket looks like tomorrow during our pre-race coverage at Atlanta for the Cup race, which will begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll still be live for the Xfinity Series race later today. We'll be live for the truck race tomorrow afternoon. So a very busy weekend, very condensed, only Friday and Saturday live commentary streams this weekend. But 4 streams here in the span of just over 24 hours. It's going to be very, very busy on the channel. Now I got to get off this screen and try to find the raw feed again, which still not able to find. Cars have not hit the racetrack yet, obviously. I guess we're not going to start qualifying until about 5:30. Coverage started at 5, so that's why I went live at 5, but it looks like it might be closer to 5:30 by the time we get things started. Jordan 2645, thanks for tuning in. Gran Turismo Plays, thanks for tuning in. No practice this week. Again, Speedway/drafting style ovals, no practice for the top 3 series outside of the season opener at Daytona. B9TSL, thanks for tuning in. I don't know if I shouted you out or not yet. Wade, thanks for tuning in. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. Santiago Kid, thanks for tuning in. Alan Cavanos caught up with young gun Connor Zilich
in the simulator, but yeah, you don't really know what you got till you roll out on the track, and yeah, it's kind of scary going down off into 3, and you got to run right up next to the wall, wide open, in a car you've never driven before, but that's the fun part of it. So looking forward to it. So excited to have Red Bull back on the car. So cool to be back in a Cup car again. It's my 3rd race, and I take every opportunity I can for granted to run one of these cars. So looking forward to it, and hoping I can see the checkered flag on Saturday.
You can't win the $1 million, but your teammates can. How do you be a good teammate on Saturday night?
Yeah, obviously Daniel still needs a win to get into the playoffs, so doing what I can to help him, and try and get the Trackhouse organization, all 3 cars locked in the playoffs would be awesome, and also helping all the teammates I can. I'm just an extra body a little bit this weekend, but I'm going to be learning as much as I can out there to help me get prepared for whatever down the road experience I can get, the better. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I can learn a thing or two for even my Xfinity races later this season.
One day, maybe not this weekend, but one day he'll be going for that $1 million. All the experience counts, Shannon.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I need to go get those sunglasses right now. We need
Very
to
cool. Very cool. Just
Smartly Joe, Maximus, thanks for tuning in. Alrighty. Yeah, this is definitely the biggest wild card round, I'd say, for the in-season tournament. If you somehow make it through this round getting all 16 matchups correct, more power to you. But I don't think there's going to be any perfect brackets after this weekend, with Atlanta being the first race. A super speedway oval. Yeah, I don't know. Well, good luck to everybody that filled everything out. All right. I'll log on to a different page here and make sure get this raw feed up. Still nothing at the moment. There we go. Now we got the live leaderboard. All right, so qualifying getting set to begin. Again, 40 cars on the entry list for this weekend. Nobody will be going home. 2 rounds of qualifying here today at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The drafting style ovals are the only ovals or tracks in general that we see multiple rounds of qualifying still for the NASCAR side of things. So the top 10 will advance into round 2, and only positions 11 through 40 will be locked in based off of the first round of qualifying. And then round 2 will start off with the 10th place driver from round 1 and go in descending order up to the fastest driver from round 1. Again, David Starr on the racetrack for the first qualifying lap momentarily.
Man, I have your guy going out in round 1. I don't.
I don't know what you're thinking.
Who's your champion, Steve? How far are you taking it out there?
Well, I learned that you and I saw the same thing. I'm going Mr. Consistent. He hasn't won this year, but he hasn't finished outside the top 20. I have Chase Elliott start to finish.
See a path there for the 9. I'm with you.
It's like 3 lanes wide and clear.
Yeah, we'll find out in a few weeks in Indianapolis. Here's Marty.
You know, Adam, I think a lot of drivers look at the schedule for this in-season challenge and go, man, those are hard racetracks. I think Michael McDowell looks at the schedule and says, bring it on. That's perfect. The super speedway, back-to-back road courses. So when you look at this in-season challenge and you look at the 5 tracks, do you indeed say, hey, those are right up my alley?
Yeah, I look at it as we can win $1 million and knock a lot of favorites out of the bracket. Just fortunate that I lined up the way that it did. I mean, we got to get through Atlanta here this weekend. It's a big deal. And obviously, I'm going head to head with AJ, and AJ's very good here, right? And so his strengths are my strengths, the same tracks. So if I can knock him out tomorrow night, that's going to help a lot of other people too, moving down. But I feel like we'll surprise a lot of people. We've had a lot of speed at the road courses and the super speedways, and but we're also focusing on making the playoffs and winning a race, and which accomplishes everything, right? And so. We got great opportunities these next 5 weeks, and we know that, and we just got to make the most of every opportunity.
You have shown a willingness to drive a very trimmed out race car here on the ragged edge of handling versus speed. How will you guys approach it this weekend when it's so hot, but even though it's a night race?
Maybe a little bit more handling than we've had here the last few years. Man, we've had a ton of speed, but in the draft when it's hot like that and you're 2 and 3 wide, you got to be able to move around. You got to be confident in pulling down a lane, moving up a lane. So maybe not quite as trimmed out as that, but when the sun goes down tomorrow night, you get down to the end, you're going to want it to be fast. So there's a balance there. Hopefully we've hit that balance. But feel great about where we ran here in the spring, and Carson had a shot at winning the race, and so went off a lot of their notes, and we'll see what we got.
All right, Mom. Michael McDowell will be one of the first few cars to roll off here in qualifying in Atlanta.
Well, my guy will be rolling up a little bit later on the grid. Kyle, Rowdy Bush. Kyle, you can win anywhere. We've seen how close it's been on this format, but now we got $1 million on the line. What about it?
That would be a great payday, have a little bonus money in the year. That's always good. Nothing to balk about there. So hopefully our Scenic Chevrolet here this weekend will be fast enough to get up towards the front, mix it up a little bit, and not be the 2 inches short that I was the last time here.
You have a pretty good path when you look at this time of the year. You guys have been pretty good on the road courses, not having the luck with the finishes, but with the speed. So you got to look forward to this playoff push.
Yeah, a little bit, talking about Chicago, talking about Sonoma, sure. We've been good at Dover. We ran great there last year. So, feel like there's some pretty cool that delay, the time delay thing with darkness setting in. So anything can happen, that kind of threw the strategy off for a lot of the front runners in that race, but we were able to capitalize on it, had a good day for us. So, there's a lot of different things that could certainly happen, and with competition so tight and pit road so tight and everything, it's going to be all about track position.
All right, Kyle. Well, good luck, my man. Shannon.
I got to work on that handshake with Mamba this season. I got to get my own special.
He and I came up with one
Well,
yesterday.
you got one?
Yeah, I got one now.
I'm jealous. Future NASCAR driver right there, taking the turns. High banks here at the.
Those are dangerous. Watch out.
Speedway.
Hold up on those.
We got qualifying coming up next here on True TV. We'll be right back.
All righty. Our first 10 drivers for qualifying in their respective orders will be David Starr, Connor Zilic, Corey LaJoie, BJ McLeod, Riley Herbst, the front 5. The next 5 after them will be Ty Dillon, Cody Ware, Shane Van Gisbergen, Michael McDowell, and Bubba Wallace. So getting ready for round 1 of qualifying at the Atlanta. At Atlanta. There we go. I just got to stop it there. At Atlanta. Track name, Echo Park Speedway. Stephen Harvey, thanks for tuning in. What do I think of TNT? Well, I mean, their coverage hasn't really started yet, so I don't know. I would assume it's going to be similar to how Prime Video was, especially, with the same exact drivers or analysts, I should say, in the booth. Adam Alexander, Dale Jr., and Steve Letarte. Race by race wise, I mean, I enjoyed Prime Video. With doing these live commentary streams, I'm not going to have as much of an in-depth opinion on the actual broadcast itself just because I'm not listening to it as much with doing my own commentary on here. But as far as TNT goes, I mean, literally all I've heard was what you guys have heard, 2 to 3 minutes worth on the channel here over the last few minutes, and that's about it. Interviews with Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Michael McDowell. You can definitely tell a lot of the broadcast for TNT is on this in-season tournament, specifically, at least for this weekend. They're very much promoting that, highlighting that over the early drivers. They're, letting them know, hey, you're going up against so-and-so this weekend. What do you think about it? Trying to get their opinions on the tournament itself. I mean, $1 million is a big deal. And a fan can win $1 million if you fill out a perfect bracket. So again, be sure to do so if you haven't done that yet. It's tomorrow's that cutoff when that race begins. We'll have our full in-depth predictions in the pre-race tomorrow for the tournament, and obviously who I think will run well, not run well in tomorrow's race. I'll drop specific stat lines per driver as we work our way through qualifying as well, as we do every week here on the channel. Got about 100 people in the chat already. Greatly appreciate everybody tuning in already. 100 likes is going to be our like goal for this stream today, and we're at 28 right now, so be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Once more, 2 rounds of qualifying. Top 10 from round 1, advance to round number 2.
Race qualifying here at Echo Park Speedway. Typically, at a drafting track, we do 2 rounds, only 1 on this Friday afternoon, Steve.
Yeah,
Oh.
Shannon explained a little lightning delay. It actually canceled the second round of Xfinity qualifying. You'll see that later tonight. Their race.
Well, there you have it. I guess a little bit of a lightning delay earlier. The reason why we're getting started probably a little later for Cup qualifying as well. It looks like 1 round of qualifying today, not 2.
So, I know it should be a relatively easy wide open, but a lot of things in NASCAR should be until they're not. And if I've made this car too trimmed out, too down on the stops, too hard to drive, you're unfortunately going to find out here on your one and only lap.
Yeah, there's been a couple times in qualifying in Atlanta where 2 or 3 cars just have such bad balance that they're not actually able to run wide open. And you would think that the cars will be actually, easier to drive by themselves on the racetrack, but the way they do trim them out, get themselves in trouble. Watch David Starr in the 66 pull off pit road. Making his first start in 2025. Former Truck Series drivers mixed it up over the last decade or more with Xfinity starts and occasional Cup start.
Talk about a journeyman.
Yeah.
You saw the headshot there and that smile. That's actually tamed down from what you get in person. I mean, you see David in the garage, and it is always wide. He just a happy guy from Texas, been around a long time. 40 cars here. So everybody going to make the show.
This is where the practice is the most difficult for teams like this Carl Long program. When we are bottoming out a little bit, they're going to try to guesstimate where this car is going to land in travels, all types of things, and tell David to hang on. And that's right. Go out there and run the lap.
That's my pep talk.
Yeah. You can see the car kind of moving around. He's a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of movement in the steering wheel as he's going around that racetrack there.
All right.
34-11. 34-11 for Star.
Next up on the racetrack, 87 Connors Illich, fresh off that win at Pocono in the Xfinity Series. Driving for Trackhouse crew chief Darian Grubb.
You know Darian really well, Steve. Perfect guy to have on this pit box for this young driver. Yeah, Darian's worked with some of the biggest names, probably most famously known for that championship run with Tony Stewart. We talk about young drivers getting experience. I think at some point in your career, you want to be matched up with, say, a crew chief that maybe you'll work with for a long point in your career, but we can only talk and start 3 or 4. You just want to have somebody who can be nice and calm on the radio, kind of like you did last week. You got him to a win last Saturday, man.
We had a lot of fun. That's a pretty good lap comparable to David Starr. We'll see how it stacks up. Down to Danielle.
Yeah, Dale, a familiar face here in the Cup Series, Chris Buescher, but a whole new look. You got the sunglasses, the cool hat, hopefully a fast race car too. Chris, what's the key to getting around this place and sitting on the pole?
Probably getting your lift point right into one. No, just kidding. We'll be wide open around here today, right?
So stupid.
Worked hard at this racetrack through the years, and RFK's been really strong in these super speedways. So we'll take this Kroger cinnamon toast crunch forward and lay the best lap down we know how. Obviously, we're a little bit late here starting, so just one lap today, one round. Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy day. It's that balance of speed versus balance and drivability.
He knows what he's doing here, Double A. He's also a 3 seed for the in-bracket challenge in this first round going up against Todd Gillen.
Yeah, and I mean, the Fords have been outstanding here when it comes to qualifying. You see it out of Corey LaJoy, 31-35 for him. Is BJ McLeod. It's the track in the 78. I appreciated the dad joke. That's from Chris Buescher.
That was so
Humor.
so
Like a
cheesy.
racing dad joke?
That was a racing
I
dad
really
joke.
got a chuckle out of it. That's my guy, man. He's gonna win it all. I saw that cinnamon toast crunch hat. I got
Really
like
good.
distracted.
I'm-
That stuff is so
I'm
good.
just looking for a
Apparently
gallon of milk.
Apparently, that's been like the best-selling T-shirt for RFK since their existence.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cinnamon
the
Toast
Cinnamon Toast Crunch T-shirt.
I like it. For a little reference, you see LaJoy fastest at that 31-35. About a 30-90 track record plus the pole speed. I can make an argument that with the warmer air, the cars are a little draggier, maybe making less power. We'll just have to see where it goes, Marty, and what kind of speed we're going to see.
Well, Steve, last Sunday before the Pocono race, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. called a shot, said we're going to go to Atlanta and win. The resume would back up that statement, but still that much confidence this week, Ricky?
Yeah, our Hungry Jack Camaro, I feel like it's going to drive exactly the way I need it to. So, the boys here at Hayek give me really good cars on speedways, and especially here in Atlanta, it handles really well where, handling is a premium, especially with the heat, the way it is. It'll be slick. So I feel like we'll have a car capable of handling good enough to run up front and do everything that we need to do. Qualifying might be a different story here. My guys cringe when we come, to qualify. And it's not for lack of effort, man. We've qualified so many different packages on these speedways. Can't seem to figure it out. But, it's just a starting spot. If we qualify in the back, I'll be able to save fuel a little earlier than most and then drive our way to the front.
Alan, one cool thing about the Atlanta Motor Speedway is that there is a 2-stage pit road speed. So Stenhouse is going to practice that on his way in after his qualifying lap.
That's good for every driver to practice, including Noah Gregson. Top 10 here back in the spring, but now you get 1 lap to just send it without any practice laps. What's that like for a driver?
I just told it up wide open. It's pretty easy around here with all the banking and whatnot. The real challenge about this place is tomorrow during the race and being in the pack and you're 3 wide, 4 top wide at times. And the air difference when you're in the pack compared to what we're doing today is quite a bit different. So it'll be this will be easy. You just hold it wide open. But tomorrow you're holding on that thing for dear life and trying to get the front tires in the racetrack and just trying to position your car to get as much air on as possible tomorrow. So today will be easy. Tomorrow's the hard part.
All right, Noah Gregson's matched up against last week's winner, Chase Briscoe, for start that $1 million tournament, Mama Smith.
I got John Hunter Nemechek here. John Hunter, you got back-to-back top 6 finishes. A lot of momentum rolling in. Now, you're an underdog in the challenge, but brother, you got some momentum on your side.
Yeah, we definitely do. We're seated pretty good. I think we're seated 12th or something. This week with Josh Berry is going to be a heck of a matchup. Their manufacturer has been pretty good here in Atlanta here in the past, but looking forward to showing off this new Pi Barker scheme. It's really cool to be able to honor and have all 8,000 of their team members' names on our car riding with us here in their hometown. So excited to see what we can do tomorrow night. Hopefully we can continue our top 6 streak and hopefully go out there and try and get a win. But overall, it's been a really good few weeks, and just got to go beat Josh and go have a chance for $1 million.
John Harnemachek trying to ride the momentum, Adam.
And he's got an Xfinity.
All right, SVG currently working on his qualifying lap. 8 drivers will have made a lap once SVG finishes his lap up. Ty Dillon, top time right now with a 31.265. Riley Herbst is second. Corey LaJoie third. Michael McDowell fourth. Shane Van Gisbergen fifth now after wrapping up his lap. Right in front of his teammate Connor Zilic in sixth. BJ McLeod seventh. And Cody Ware eighth. David Starr ninth. So 9 drivers have now completed a lap. Michael McDowell scrubbing up against the wall as he exits turn 4 on his lap. So it looks like his lap time is already timed in. That's where he was in 4th. I wonder if he would have been able to flirt with the top time had he not brushed the wall off the exit of turn 4. He's trying to get all he could around the outside of the racetrack, building the momentum up and getting the run off of the banking of the racetrack there, and it definitely costed him. A little bit of smoke coming out of the back of the race car, but some of that could be the car itself just bottoming out with how low these cars drive, especially for qualifying on the super speedway / drafting style ovals. So Dillon with the time to beat as of right now. As for Riley Herbst, he'll be making his second career start at Atlanta, finished 17th here in the spring. Ty Dillon, his best finish at Atlanta, 15th in 2017. Cody Ware made a qualifying lap already, as well as those interviews were going on. 23rd back in 2022, a best for him. SVG finished 23rd in the spring race here. He'll be making his 3rd start at Atlanta in the Cup Series. And Michael McDowell finished 4th in 2023 with the next gen car. He has 2 poles at Atlanta with the next gen, both coming last season in the 34 for Front Row Motorsports. 3 top 15s in the last 4 Atlanta starts for McDowell as well. Bubba Wallace is now on the racetrack as he wraps up his qualifying lap, 31.353. 3rd place for Wallace, settling himself in behind Ty Dillon and Riley Herbst. Wallace's best finish at Atlanta, 5th last season. And he finished 9th here in the spring. That 5th last year would have been in the spring race. So 2 top 10 finishes for Bubba in the last 3 races at Atlanta. So it looks like I have to refresh the page for some reason for the raw feed to work on a consistent basis. So I'm sorry for that. I'll try to refresh the page as much as I can going forward. It was frozen at the start, and it seems like it's only working when I refresh the page. But there you see the updated list. So 10 drivers have made a qualifying lap. Again, only 1 round today. It was supposed to be 2, but lightning delay for the Xfinity Series qualifying delayed their final round. Therefore, they only had 1 round, and we're only going to have 1 round here for the Cup Series as well, which is also why we had the slightly later start for qualifying, because this live stream started at 5, but we didn't get things kicked off till closer to 5:30. So 10 drivers have made a lap. The next 10 to make a lap will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Todd Gilliland, Noah Gregson, Cole Custer, Zane Smith, the next 5. The 5 after them, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, Justin Haley, Ross Chastain, and AJ Allmendinger. We'll take our first break of the stream while you're listening live here on KRC to qualifying coverage for the Quaker State 400 at Echo Park Speedway. If you haven't hit the like button yet on the stream, be sure to do so. Our like goal is to get to 100. We're currently at 40. And be sure to subscribe for more NASCAR content like this every NASCAR race weekend. We have live commentary streams. We have streams during the week, NASCAR related on the video game side of things. All things NASCAR right here on the channel when it comes to streaming daily content. And again, the live commentary streams are like this for NASCAR Cup practice and qualifying, Truck Xfinity Cup races, as well as select other motorsport races. We did the Indy 500. We've done a few ARCA races this season, the Rolex 24 back in February, and other big motorsport events here in North America as well. Probably the last outside of the NASCAR realms for this season. I definitely would like to do, obviously, the Indy 500 on a yearly basis like we've done the last few years on the channel, but also doing the Rolex 24 again, because that was a challenge in and of myself to stream all 24 hours, so I honestly can't wait to do that again next year, just because it's, one and done. I was regretting it the next day. I didn't feel great for about the next day or two. I caught back up on sleep, but once a couple weeks passed by, I'm like, you know what? That was worth it. That was a lot of fun, so we'll probably end up doing that going forward. As far as this weekend, though, at Atlanta, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is on the racetrack. His best finish at Atlanta came in the spring race earlier this season. He finished 5th in that event. He also has 2 top 10s in his last 3 Atlanta starts, just like Bubba Wallace, who qualified before him. Stenhouse repping the Hungry Jack paint scheme this weekend. Just finished up his warm-up lap. He's pacing a little over half of a tenth off of where Ty Dillon is for the best time so far. I just realized I have the Xfinity Series stuff going across the top of the screen. I don't think anybody mentioned that in the chat yet. There we go. Now I got the in-season tournament stuff going up at the top. Well, you got a preview of what our ticker is going to look like for the Xfinity race later tonight. I just noticed that because I haven't had the chat up the entire time because I'm reading these stats off for each driver as they're making their qualifying laps. Yeah, Cup race is tomorrow night, which is why qualifying is today. We'll be streaming live tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race coverage. Race will start shortly after 7. All right, so Stenhouse was 8th out of 11 drivers to qualify with a lap time of a 31.537. Up next is Todd Gilliland in the 34 for Front Row Motorsports. Gilliland has a best finish of 15th 2 different times at Atlanta in his career. And he'll be making his 8th start at Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend. Second for Gilliland in qualifying, 31.302. After Gilliland will be Noah Gregson, his teammate, who finished 12th in 2023 for his best finish at Atlanta, spring race that year. 4 straight finishes for Gregson outside of the top 30 at Atlanta in recent races here. Looking to turn it around. I do like the Zepp colors on that number 4 Mustang this weekend. Chase Briscoe had that scheme for a couple of races last year, too. The blue and yellow schemes just pop really well in a race car, to me at least. I've got a lot of blue and yellow, blue and gold paint schemes of some of the die-cast in that collection behind me. For that reason, I might have to get one of these Zepp cars, too. It's basic, but it looks cool. To me. 6 for Gregson, 31.376. And on to another Ford Mustang of Cole Custer. And the Haas Automation number 41 Ford. 1 top 10 on the season so far for Custer this season. That actually came at Mexico City just 2 weeks ago. Best finish at Atlanta in his Cup career was in 2022, where he finished 9th. And the then Stuart Haas Racing number 41 Ford. Fords have been pretty quick in qualifying at Atlanta with this next-gen car, dominating the top 10 on the speed charts. Haven't seen any of them get to the top yet. Gilliland was close, and now Cole Custer will jump to the top, topping Ty Dillon. 31.155 for Custer. So just over a tenth of a second ahead of Ty Dillon's lap time. So Custer is now P1. And again, the time to beat, 31.155. Strong qualifying effort for Custer. Another Ford is on the track. Zane Smith in the 38 for Front Row. All 3 Front Row Fords going in the span of about 4 time trials in a row here. Smith hasn't had a top 10 at Atlanta, but his best finish was 11th in the spring race here earlier this season. He'll be making his 4th start at the racetrack, and we have a red flag as it seems like there are problems for Zane Smith.
This will be interesting to see what opportunity there is. Hopefully, we'll be able to finish this qualifying, and then
Oh,
with the
lightning.
delay, I know the sun will still be up, but as the sun sets, as we look down in 1 and 2,
Yeah, another lightning delay, it sounds like, postponing qualifying for the moment.
will make just a small bit of difference as far as just kind of rolling resistance and how much front steering wheel you have to put in the car. So this could change track conditions if we're fortunate enough to get going again here.
Yeah, the drivers, if their cars are driving well, it should be a very simple process. But you can make a difference trying to launch off pit road. You definitely don't want to put the tire on any painted surface, trying to accelerate off of pit road. So some things you just got to keep in mind.
And well, I'm sorry, I was just saying that if we don't get going again, then these 14 laps aren't going to matter.
That's right. We'll just use the rule book, set the field from there, and
And
go on.
Denny Hamlin, Christmas comes early for Denny. Isn't that what Chase said? Well, it'd be Christmas comes early for Denny Hamlin because he'll be the pole sitter.
He's on a summer heater, right? I mean,
Yeah.
top 3 finishes in his last 3 starts. Had that win at Michigan. We've hit the pause button for qualifying here in Hampton, Georgia.
We're under for qualifying with the Xfinity Series race scheduled to start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I feel like this is going to end qualifying because this is going to be at least a half-hour delay. And obviously, if rain ends up coming, then it might postpone the start of the Xfinity race as well. Well, we got 14 drivers into qualifying. Cole Custer just set the fastest lap so far with a 31.155. I'm not sure that we are going to finish qualifying out, though. So that means we would be going to the metric system, which oddly enough is the qualifying order for this week. So Denny Hamlin would actually be on pole for tomorrow's race if we do not finish out qualifying today. Chase Briscoe will be on the front row with Denny Hamlin. And Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott would be row 2. Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, row 3. Ryan Preece, Austin Cindric, row 4. John Nemechek and Alex Bowman rounding out the top 10 in row 5. That would be the starting grid if this lightning hold turns into an oncoming rainstorm and we are not able to get the remainder of qualifying in. The only added bonus that these 14 drivers would have, based off of being able to make a lap of qualifying, is they were able to at least get on the racetrack before the race tomorrow, where the others have not. So you just never know if problems could arise in the pre-race. Seen issues like that before in similar instances where there has been no practice before the start of a race. Frank Powers, thanks for tuning in. Akeka Stewart, thanks for tuning in as well. Shahir Ahmed, welcome to the stream.
They might ask me help. We're looking at the radar right there to kind of determine where this lightning's coming from. It's it's super hot, miserable outside, and there are some, as you see, some storms that develop. But yeah, I don't know. This is frustrating, though. I don't believe that we had a lightning strike. Well, looking out there, and I don't see nothing. I mean, maybe 30 miles away. I don't know, but I think this equipment they're using to determine this is way too sensitive. This has got to be the first time I've been in a NASCAR group and I've debated science. I mean, I've talked about 2 tires versus 4. I've talked about on fuel. Never have I doubted.
Download a different app. Download a different app.
Wait, let's rewind, okay? Because we talked about the Xfinity Series tonight. Connor Zilic doing double duty this weekend. CC got you to 1-0 on the pit box last week.
He did. He drove a great race. Made the pass at the end on Jesse Love, one of his good friends, to be able to get that car to victory lane. We put the gas in it, put the tires on it, but he's the guy who was able to drive it to the front and jumped out of the roof hatch just because.
I've said publicly, and I'll say it here, if you come out of the roof hatch, I feel that's a little suspect. There may be some shenanigans or some cheating going on around that roof hatch.
And then
But-
he did it in your own car?
well, Justin Algar told him if you win, you got to go out the roof hatch because of what Dale said. So they're messing with me. But no, I was real proud, thankful to have been asked to do that. And man, really, I got to, obviously, I didn't get to pull all of the crew chief levers, right? But I did get to experience the pressure dealing with all the time. And I know why you loved it. Because it is as exciting and as nerve wracking as driving the race car. And man, to have to make some of those tough decisions that you had to make week in and week out, know that everybody's going to look at you, whether it went right or wrong. I really got to live a little bit of that, and that was fun.
You know, we talk about the success that you guys have enjoyed on the Xfinity side. A driver that did a great job for you a few years ago, laid the foundation for his career, William Byron, a Cup superstar now, Danielle.
Yeah, Devil A, we're just talking. Byron was about 8 cars away from making a lap here. When the lightning hold was lifted, would you rather make a lap here today, William, or go by the metric?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, my metric wasn't too good from last week, so I think we'd be like 22nd or something like that. So, yeah, probably need the qualifying session, but honestly, on speedways, we don't typically qualify great, at least at the Atlanta configuration. So, expecting probably mid-teens at best. So, we'll see.
Back-to-back Daytona 500 champion. It's hard for me to believe you only have 1 win on the season, William, because you've been so good every single week. Is that frustrating, even though you won the biggest race of the entire schedule?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess I'm getting my payback for how that one happened at the end. But yeah, I mean, we've been really strong this year. I feel like we've been stronger than we've ever been. Like we've led more laps than ever, to this point. And last week was a bummer. Just obviously me making a mistake in qualifying, and then the guys having to fix the car. And I felt like we got it pretty good, but probably not quite as strong as what Saturday was. But overall, just we gotta keep it rolling. If we just keep showing up and running the top 3 or 4 every week, we're gonna eventually get some wins.
You're one of only 2 drivers that has multiple wins on this newly configured Atlanta Motor Speedway. So you're going up against Ryan Preece in this in-season bracket challenge in the first round. Because you're so good here, are you pretty confident going in you'll advance?
I don't know. I mean, Preece, the RFK cars have been really good here. Brad and Busher have always been really strong here, and I think it's probably one of Brad's best tracks. So I don't know. I mean, those guys are going to be strong. It's just, I mean, as much as we all said, hey, we're not going to pay attention to it, I do feel like I've kind of, it's almost like my pit stall. I've memorized who I'm going against. So I'm like, okay, when it gets down to the end of this thing, like I'll probably be thinking a little bit about it. But hopefully we're just racing for the win, which would be ideal. And that'll take care of itself.
Any smack talk with you and Preece?
No, I mean, not so far. No, I mean, it's probably just one of those things, like I said, where you get down to the end of the race, you're like, okay, I know who this guy I'm racing against is. So it's cool. I think it'll, anytime $1 million is on the line, we're all going to race for that. So it'll be fun.
What kind of race do you think we'll see tomorrow night, William? Our first Saturday night race of the season.
I love it. I mean, I love we're racing on a Saturday night in the summer. I feel like that's what I grew up doing at short tracks, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a really hype atmosphere. I feel like everyone, I feel like Atlanta's gotten a really good crowd these last few races with this layout. Us drivers like at first didn't really love it, and there's still that unpredictability. But coming here this week, I was telling myself it's gonna be like one of those old Daytona races on the old pavement where, could get strung out. Handling's definitely going to matter. So hopefully, we've been good at that. So hopefully we can kind of be one of the guys that strings it out towards the front.
7 races on this newly reconfigured Atlanta, Adam, and Williams won 2 of those.
And he references kind of the throwback to Daytona. And I would say in some ways this weekend reminds me of the old days, July 4th weekend, Saturday night at Daytona International Speedway. What do you see in the 24 team right now? Danielle referenced the 1 win coming to the 500.
I think they just need to close a race out. So they win the 500, and then they are the car to beat at the 600, dominate, leading like 80 or 90% of the laps, and it gets taken away by an amazing Ross Chastain at the end. They didn't really do anything wrong. They just got beat. Darlington, I think they kind of fumbled the pit strategy a little bit. So those are 2 races that they were the lead guy. They were the car to beat, and they couldn't close. They're going to have a ton of races and win a bunch of races. But for me, for William Byron and his crew chief Rudy Fugle, they need to kind of shut the book on one, right? They need to show up, dominate, and close it out all the way to the finish, and then you can kind of shake the near misses off.
I like his chances here. I know he's won here before. It was a rain short. Fin goes up at the surface. The advantage that the Fords seem to have in qualifying and early in the races, winning the stages, that kind of goes away. And if a guy like William Byron is still hanging around late in the race, I expect him to see up front for the win.
I'll add that he comes from what I consider the toughest bracket area, that upper right, that Briscoe, Byron, Blaney, Larson, and Reddick, all in the same region. Yet I still have them going all the way to the final, so I'm going to need a little more pizzazz out of Byron, a little more swagger. Tell him to shoot that text off the priest. Start talking a little bit of junk.
That's his style to downplay. He's
is.
not going to be a guy that's going to brag about their opportunity or their speed. But he got the confidence in there, but you're not going to see it on camera today.
A for effort from Danielle, trying to stoke the
Yeah,
flame.
I like it.
It's a little rivalry
Well done.
between those two. But Priest and Byron, they're not trash talkers. Let's face it. Maybe this new setup will develop some of that. So we have paused things for qualifying because we had some lightning in the area. 14 cars have been on track, and the best of the bunch, the driver from California, Cole Custer, in the 41 for the factory team.
He's leading for right now. I have no clue how much time they have left on the lightning hold, to be completely honest. They haven't shown any sort of like a clock update. If it's been reset because of another area lightning strike. The ruling is if there's a lightning strike within 8 miles of the racetrack, then that would deem for the lightning clock to restart or start for the first time, obviously in the event of a first lightning strike in that specific range. Xfinity races tonight and Cup is tomorrow. Again, for anybody just tuning in. So we'll be live for the Xfinity Series race at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, unless, of course, they have a rain delay at the start for some reason. I know that there are pop-up thunder showers that will be in the forecast for both today and tomorrow, so that's just kind of something to monitor up close as we get into the events. Tomorrow's Cup race will begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and the Truck Series is having a standalone race at Lime Rock Park, first ever NASCAR race there. So there'll be road course racing in Connecticut. That will be at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow as well. So doubleheader today on the channel with this stream and Xfinity racing later, and a doubleheader tomorrow with Truck and Cup action. Weather for Lime Rock looks good for tomorrow. Well, that's good. Put on a good show for those fans attending that event for the weekend. Waiting out the lightning hold again here for Quaker State 400 qualifying at Echo Park Speedway. We'll take another break. Listening live on KRC.
Go inside the race with Max, home of the NASCAR driver cam, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook and Straight Talk Wireless. Access every in-car camera with real-time driver data, multi-view options, and full-team audio all season long only on Max. So this used to be Atlanta Motor Speedway. We've done a rebranding, and it's now Echo Park Speedway, and they have got the place looking outstanding. The new paint and signage, it looks awesome.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, and we see it not only just right here on the racetrack, but up in the suites, everywhere. They've totally kind of put a new coat on this place. It looks really great. Really excited about this new partnership with Echo Park, and it lines up really good, Steve, with the reconfiguration, the energy around what this race is starting to become, the action that people now can expect when they buy a ticket to this race. The crowds here are growing every year. It's no, we believe it when we say that we think this is actually one of the best tickets. If I'm always asked, have been asked for decades. I'm a new fan, or I have never been to a race. Where should I go? I would either say, well, the Bristol Night Race or the Daytona 500. I would put this ticket in that conversation.
And it was dwindling quickly. Marcus Smith and SMI, the owners of this racetrack, You know, this is a place we've crowned champions. This racetrack has so much history in the sport that it was sad when we would come here. And the drivers loved to race on the surface and in the garage, people talked about how great it was, but it failed the eye test. You know, man, the people weren't coming. Tickets weren't being sold. This reconfiguration, this reimagining, Marcus Smith taking a risk, the drivers leaning into it, right? This is something outside of the norm, and the whole industry said, yeah, we're going to pull this off. And it is so great. It's an important market. Atlanta is huge. The history's there. And now I agree with you, Dale. Out the window, on TV, it's shocking what these drivers are going to do tomorrow night.
This racetrack is about physically 40 to 45 minutes from the city. And I do know that the success and future success on the facility here can really improve or kickstart some development plans around the racetrack. And so I believe they made the right decision by reconfiguring. It made some changes, and the drivers definitely pushed back on the idea of changing this racetrack. They loved, as you said, they loved the old Atlanta and the racings in the style of racing they got to do. But now, in the last couple of races, when the drivers are getting out of the car, even guys like Kyle Larson are getting out and saying, I got to be honest. That was pretty fun.
Right.
I'm having a good time.
They don't even want to admit it.
I know, right?
Man, I was supposed to not like this.
They're like, I didn't think this was going to be, that much fun, but they really are enjoying the style of racing that we have here. And even though we do compare it to Daytona and Talladega, it ain't nothing like Daytona and Talladega. It's its own thing. It's its own beast and its own challenge. And so the success of these races that we're having right now are really going to drive a lot of great development around this racetrack and really turn this place on.
I like this during the lightning delay. You know, the last time we raced in the draft, Austin Cindric, a winner at Talladega. He's with Alan Cavana.
Or just watching others have fun. How good are you throwing a football?
Okay. I'm better catching one than throwing one. But
Wide receiver.
yeah, I think so.
Right. Something you do know about Valenti is leading laps at these drafting tracks. That's a skill that some others don't have. Where did that skill come from? How did you learn to be so good at these type of track and this type of racing?
Well, a fast car, it covers up a lot of blemishes. You know, we've had some really fast Ford Mustangs here, and definitely want to see how fast ours is this weekend for qualifying Quick State 400 with Quick State car. You know, we won't be able to go do that, but no, it's been a fun place for our team, and fun place to kind of wrap my head around too with how different of a drafting racetrack that this is, and how much handling comes into play, and you know how the art of working with your teammates changes here versus other tracks. So it's been a fun place and a fun challenge.
Your win this season at Talladega, a great track, great run for you there. Can you bring the same confidence to this track that at that day in Talladega, celebrating that win?
Well, it's the same paint scheme, so I think that's good if you're superstitious. I'm pretty sure it's actually the same engine if you're really superstitious. So otherwise, past success definitely doesn't equal future success. But I feel like we do a great job at calling these races and being able to try and manage them as well. So, like I said, I feel like we brought a great piece, and hopefully I get to do a lap today to show it.
I am a little stitious, so maybe I'll choose you in my in-season tournament bracket. You're going up against Zane Smith, I believe, another Ford, a fellow Ford. You guys are fast here. What do you think about that matchup? And look, we know the checkered flag is what you want. The $1 million also has to be on your mind.
Yeah, no, I think you look at the brackets, and it's funny because I feel like with other sports, you can easily, especially like in the first round, right? You can pick out like, okay, this is an easy matchup, this and that. I really don't feel like we have that. Like, I don't feel like I could look at that and go, oh yeah, this guy's easily going to move on. And, I feel like our series is just so competitive. And you got a wild card race here too with the draft track. But I wish I could sit here and talk smack about Zane, but he's a super likable guy. He's got a dog in his race car. He's a Ford guy. Like, I can't. I'm just gonna try and beat him like I do every week and everybody else. So past that, it's a fun little thing to be able to talk about. I say it's a little thing, right? $1 million on the line, but long road to get to there for Indianapolis.
We like to say your future's so bright. You're wearing those shades. Can you flip those down for us? Show those.
Sport mode. Sport mode.
Sport mode.
Natural sport mode. I'm so glad you picked up on that.
Awesome. You got a fast car. I think that means you got a fast car.
I think I can see it all coming.
I like that. Austin Cindric, bet on this guy.
All I can say, Alan, is thank you, because the whole time we're doing the interview, he could have guaranteed victory in every race the rest of the year, and I wouldn't have heard it because all I was focused on is the flip down glasses shades.
I can't talk smack. If you can wear flip down sunglasses, you can talk a little junk. Go ahead, Cindric. Just start firing it out there to Zane Smith.
Yeah, he has a He has a great personality, funny guy. Had the chance to hang out with him in the off season a little bit, get to know him better, and a lot of fun to be around. But he also is another driver that we often do see at the front of these packs at Daytona, Talladega, especially here at Atlanta. There he is, getting in game mode. But he's just and it's not necessarily a skill you learn. I don't believe. Alan asked him like, how did you figure it out? I believe that the majority, 90% of the drivers that find success at places like Atlanta, Daytona, Talladega, it's a mentality, it's a personality trait that makes them good at wanting to be up front, making the moves, at being the aggressive person, taking every run, and that style or that attitude or personality that really helps you sort of do those things. Because back, 20 years ago, it was always Kurt Busch, Jamie Murray, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Logano. You can name this long list, and they're all going to be in the picture when the cars cross the finish line. They might be first or sixth or fifth, but they'll be in that photo more times than not.
That's what Dale, I think, taught me when we worked together, is that you can't guarantee the finish because the last couple laps, it can go right or wrong. But you look at the numbers, right? Austin Cindric was in the top 10 for 242 out of the 257 laps he ran at this race. Like, that's not just a good car or calling a good race. That is a driver who has said, I'm going to drive every lap like every position matters. I'm not going to concede. I'm not going to let anybody in. Every run I'm going to take. And you will end up on the record or in the infield care center if you race that way. But I also think you can end up in victory lane. I think that risk, that intersection runs at parallel at times that, hey, this may or may not work, but I have to try it. If I don't, I'm going to run average, mid-pack all day long and get caught up in somebody else's mess.
The other route I would go with this is having good teammates. And he has always had that around him, whether he learned from them or he utilizes them in the draft. With that, I deliver this stat. When he won at Talladega, that marked the 12th consecutive season that Penske had won a race in the draft. That's just phenomenal consistency when you think about this style of racing. You talk about Austin Cindric and what Team Penske does, they're outstanding. Another driver, maybe a bit of a sleeper this weekend, someone who has won in the draft, Eric Jones into 43, Danielle.
Yeah, Adam, absolutely. And it's been so impressive to watch Eric Jones for the last 7 weeks because in that span, he's gone from 30th to 18th in the points. How you doing it, Eric?
Well, fast cars helps a lot, and just a lot of good racetracks. I feel like every year, once the summer kind of gets rolling, the tracks start to line up pretty well, and I like racing in the heat, and so yeah, it's been working nice. Been a lot of fun just climbing through the points and having good days, and hope you keep it rolling and keep running up front and having shots to hopefully win soon.
You said that fast cars help. We've seen John Hunter, your teammate at Legacy, with fast cars as well. Is there something that Legacy Motor Club has hit on in the past 2 months? How do you explain this sudden surge that we're seeing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like what we did in the off season was gonna help us a lot at some point this year, and it's finally just paying off. I think even earlier this year we had good cars at points, but just didn't really work out in the races. So it's finally starting to just come together a little bit on the car side, on the crew side, and everything's really moving well right now. So just I hope it keeps going. I love running up front again. It's been a long couple of years, and so it's nice just to be in contention.
You've always been patient and trusted the process, and it's great to see you have success. How about in this in-season bracket challenge? 20th seed going up against Ross Chastain, who's a 13 seed. Do you like your chances here, buddy?
I feel good about it. Yeah, I think here everybody's kind of got a shot, right? Which is nice week one. So yeah, it'd be cool to just get through week one and still have a chance at it. I mean, it's going to break down quick, right, for who's going to be really running for it. And yeah, it's fun. I know Ross pretty well, so just cool to go up against him. And I think at some points it'll pop into your head through the race. I'd be surprised if it doesn't, so it should be pretty fun.
We're going to see if you can beat the Watermelon Man tomorrow night, Eric. We wish you the best of luck.
All right, thanks.
Let's send it over to Mamba, who I believe is with a cowboy.
No, I got the new sheriff in town, ladies and gentlemen. Number 77, Carson Holzbar. Carson, we're talking about nicknames. I think the sheriff is pretty good, but you heard a different one on Reddit?
Oh boy. I thought the instigator was kind of funny, but yeah, I mean everybody's trying to think of nicknames or whatever. I know Dale was mentioning it a few times, but yeah, I think it's all funny. I'm last thing I'm gonna do is give myself anything in the nickname. Anybody can call me whatever.
Listen, as long as you're getting that thing in victory, and it don't matter what they're calling you other than winner, right? So let's talk about this bracket. We got $1 million on the line. I know you already got your Dale truck, right? So you're not going to spend it on another truck, I don't think. Are you? What do you think about spending that money on?
I don't know. I mean, I'll probably, I have probably 100 fans or buddies and iRacing buddies that come here just because of how good a race it is. So I think we'll probably just go max out the credit card at Chili's, and then I'll probably have
Good sponsor
pay back
plug
that.
there.
I think I'll blow up that motor and knock the rear tires off the thing. It'll be a fun celebration for sure if we do win.
When you look at the how the schedule lays out going into the playoffs, we got here at Echo Park Speedway, got some road courses. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm excited for this one. We ran second. Our guys feel really good about this car or this track. Obviously running really good in February. Everybody just gets more excited when you run good and you get to come back. They get to work a little harder. They feel more confident in their decisions, being decisive. Everybody back at the Hendrick Engine Shop. These things go down the straightaway, so you need that here. So hopefully we just keep putting more speed in our race cars. It's kind of a hybrid mile and a half, and I feel like one of the best on restarts or performing in chaos, really. And I feel like this race is literally just however many laps of mile and a half restarts just to the top in intensity. So when everybody else is kind of uncomfortable or whatever, I feel like that's where we rise and excel because we're already, it don't matter where we're at. That's our intensity everywhere. So you get to enjoy it.
Carson Holzapfel with a big smile here. Dale, what do you think? The sheriff? I think that's a good one for him.
Yeah, well, I think nicknames are kind of organic, right? Let the fans figure it out, and whatever seems to latch on or hook, you just kind of run with it. But there's a few haulers around the garage that probably have nicknames for Carson. You know what I'm saying? He's been out of bounds a few times, but as he said, did finish second here earlier. Boy, it's a wardrobe extravaganza. The flip down glasses for Cindric. And this is a perfect fit. And I'm not talking about comfort. I'm talking about personality for Carson Hocevar. Hopefully putting cars on track and more qualifying coming up.
Still on the hold for Lightning as of right now. There are teams that are starting to approach the pit road area of the racetrack, so that means we should be getting close to this timer lifting, and we will get back into qualifying shortly thereafter. Appreciate everybody staying tuned in with the channel as we continue our live commentary coverage of Quaker State 400 qualifying here at Atlanta. Federico Sanchez, thanks for tuning in. Shout out to you as well. Janet Barker, NASCAR fan live streams, thanks for tuning in. Te Passes ALV, Shane Richards, Rima, and many others that I might not have shouted out yet. Bond1771, thanks for tuning in also. Old Fuddy Duddy, thanks for tuning in. I mean, I thought that they were going to call it just because the Xfinity race is scheduled to start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I would imagine when they get back to qualifying, they're just going to run it right through, and there's not going to be any more commercial breaks going forward. Usually they would run 10, take a commercial, run another 10, take a commercial, but even still, I mean, we're going to get things done. I would imagine after 6:45 Eastern, which is less than 45 minutes before the start of the Xfinity race. So I would assume the Xfinity race is not going to go on at 7:30 as originally scheduled. I would assume there's going to be a slight delay there if we do get back to qualifying, which is why I thought that they were just going to end up calling qualifying. No rain has dropped, so they haven't had to get the track or the jet dryers back out onto the racetrack at all. Just a lightning hold with pop-up thunder showers in the area. But if there has been a lightning strike within a 30-minute time frame and an 8-mile radius of the racetrack, then we will get back into qualifying here shortly. True TV used to be Court TV. Are you talking about like all the, trying to think of what, like the Judge Judy's and stuff like that? Is that what you mean by Court TV? Or are you talking like Law and Order? Like that kind of Court TV? I know Impractical Jokers used to be on True TV. That's like the only show I know of That was like a True TV original. I feel like they just ran True TV, and I don't know of anything else that they actually aired there, other than like March Madness when that would come around on a yearly basis. But they'd be on all the Turner channels. Well, Zane Smith's climbing back into his race car, so we should get back into qualifying here any minute. As soon as that timer hits 0. Which is actually the qualifying order that we have every weekend. But it'd be descending. So Hamlin, who's the last driver to go out, would have been the pole sitter. And it would have went back in descending order. Based on the original qualifying order. The metric system's based off of where you finished last week, owners and driver standings, as well as the fastest lap ranking from the week before. So a combination of those four together creates our metric system and the qualifying order for each race every weekend. And in the event that qualifying would get canceled or rained out, it would go off of that same metric system to give us a starting lineup for the race that weekend. I saw weather forecasted for chances of pop-up showers in the Hampton, Georgia area both tonight and tomorrow night. You're going to get that whenever it's hot and humid this time of the year. Had it at Pocono last weekend, delayed the start of the race. Luckily able to get the full 400-mile race in. We haven't had a single qualifying session canceled all year for rain, and same for the races. Every race so far has taken place on the same date, whether that be a Saturday or Sunday. Obviously this weekend, our first Saturday night Cup race, but every Cup race has taken place on Sunday. We've only had 2 rain delays over the course of the entire season. All right, we'll take that quick break here. Zane Smith is just about to start his warm-up lap. You're listening to Quaker State 400 qualifying live on KRC. I don't have my pick for the race win yet. I'll give that out tomorrow on the channel in our pre-race. See the speed on qualifying here too. Usually I wait till practice and qualifying concludes every weekend before I actually have my full in-depth analysis. No practice this weekend to go off of. But I'll still hold my predictions for the race tomorrow. Brad Keselowski with an interview on pit road as he waits his qualifying lap. Zane's question hitter. I didn't get to unmute it in time. All right, so going back to Zane Smith's side of things, I mentioned before the lightning delay started as he was about to take a qualifying lap. This will be his 4th career start at Atlanta. He finished 11th in the spring race earlier this season. That is his best finish at Atlanta in his first 3 starts. Austin Dillon in the 3-car racetrack, as Zane Smith qualified 2nd with a 31.16. Austin Dillon's best Atlanta finish came on the last configuration back in 2021, where he finished 6th. He has 1 top 10 finish in 17 career starts at Atlanta Motor Speedway, so that means none with this next-gen car and on this new Atlanta configuration. His teammate Kyle Busch, on the other hand, has had 5 straight top 10s at Atlanta under this configuration. So we'll see if Austin Dillon can have a better run of things this weekend. As far as qualifying goes, not that bad. 3rd for Austin Dillon, 31.242. Obviously, only 16 drivers into qualifying. We still have over half the field to go yet, so Austin Dillon. Tyler Reddick is now on the racetrack for 2311 Racing. He'll be making his 11th start at Atlanta Motor Speedway in his NASCAR Cup Series career. His best finish here was 5th in 2023. The teammates for Reddick are currently 6th and 7th of Herbst and Wallace. So I would expect an in-house team car to be right around that spot as well. 8th for Tyler Reddick. 7th, rather. 7th for Reddick, 31.331. Right in the middle of the other two 2311 Toyotas. So that checks out. And Justin Haley will be on track. 2nd of the Spire Motorsports Chevys hit the track. His teammate Michael McDowell was 11th, but McDowell also scrubbed the wall off the exit of turn 4 on his warm-up lap, coming to get the green. So we might see a little bit more speed out of Haley's number 7 Chevrolet. Haley has 2 top 10s in the next-gen era at Atlanta with this new configuration, both coming with colleague racing, and his best finish here was 7th in 2022. Haley going to wrap up his qualifying lap this time by, and at the line, 7th for Justin Haley, 31.329. So that was about 5 spots better than his teammate Michael McDowell. And his other teammate Carson Hocevar has yet to make a lap. Now on track is Ross Chastain for Trackhouse. I was a little bit behind on the broadcast. I just fast forwarded and caught back up. I must have lagged out at some point during the lightning delay. Chastain just qualified 13th. 31.484 for Chastain. Chastain was a runner-up at Atlanta 2 times, both of which coming in 2022. He finished 8th in the spring race. Atlanta's been very good to him. He has not broken into victory lane yet, but he's had some solid runs. Trackhouse as a whole has had some solid runs between him and Suarez. Suarez a runner-up twice as well with the next-gen car, including a win in the spring race last season. As for AJ Allmendinger, his best finish at Atlanta 3rd in 2023. That was the rain-shortened summer race just 2 years ago. AJ qualifies 7th on his lap, 31.329. So a lot of these drivers kind of clicking off in that back half of the top 10 area in qualifying. Cole Custer's still our top time with a 31.155. Kyle Busch on the racetrack. I alluded already that he has 5 straight top 10s at Atlanta. That is the 2nd most in the NASCAR Cup Series of the active drivers. He has 1 career win here, which came in 2008. A very, very long time ago. He has a close runner-up finish at Atlanta Motor Speedway in a 3-wide battle, or a 3rd place finish, I should say, in that 3-wide battle to the line in last season's spring event. Not going to be as high up in the qualifying order as his teammate Austin Dillon in 3rd. Busch 13th, 31.407 on his lap. On to William Byron in the number 24 for Hendrick Motorsports. He's our Daytona 500 champion from earlier this year. And he's a 2-time Atlanta winner under this configuration. He won the spring race in 2022 and the summer rain-shortened event of 2023. He runs up at the front in this racetrack with this configuration pretty much from start to finish despite his qualifying efforts. He's finished top 10 in 11 of the 14 stages that we've had here, so not counting stage 3, stage 1 and stage 2. Top 10 in 11 of 14 tries. He has 3 top 10s with this configuration in race finishes with those 2 wins. And in qualifying this week, he's currently 6th with a 31.31. So Byron wrapping up his lap against 6th place currently in qualifying. Daniel Suarez for Trackhouse is on the racetrack. Mentioned already, he had a win in the spring event of 2024 at Atlanta. His only win at the racetrack, but he's finished in the top 3 of his last 4 starts here. And 5 top 10s with the next-gen car at Atlanta Motor Speedway for Suarez overall as well. Qualifying not looking great for him, though, as of right now, as he is tracking to be outside the top 10. As he crosses the start-finish line, it'll be 15th for Suarez, 31.446. Almost 0.3 of a second off of our current pole lap set by Cole Custer. Carson Hocevar, runner-up from the spring race earlier this season, is now on track in the Chili's number 77 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports. He finished top 10 in all 3 stages of that race earlier in the spring. And he'll be making his 4th start at Atlanta in the NASCAR Cup Series this weekend. 21st in points on the year coming in. A little bit of a slide after last week's performance. Last 2 weeks, really, finishing outside the top 10 at both Mexico City and Pocono Raceway. 15th in qualifying this week for Carson, 31.409. And on to Ty Gibbs, who was next on track. Ty Gibbs has 2 top 10s at Atlanta and 5 career starts at the track. His best finish was in 2023, where he finished 9th in the spring race that season. Sporting the Sonic paint scheme for this weekend on the race car. I think that's the first time I've seen Sonic on a JGR Toyota this year. He's got Sonic and Grillo Pickles. Maybe that'll be the good luck charm to bring Ty Gibbs his first career victory for the NASCAR Cup Series ranks. Pretty solid in qualifying so far, though, 31.298. Toyota picked up in qualifying on the drafting style ovals this season, and they've been right up there with Ford. Although Atlanta seems to be Ford's stopping ground for qualifying still, even with Toyota getting quicker this year, with Ryan Blaney having the pole earlier in the year. We'll see if that will stay the trend again today. We have a Ford on the track right now, Brad Keselowski. He's a 2-time Atlanta winner under the old configuration. He finished 39th in the spring race earlier this season with a DNF. Looking pretty sporty in qualifying. He's flirting with the pole time of Custer as he exits turn 4. And comes to the start-finish line. It's going to be close. And he will get to the top, 31.153, a difference of 2 one-thousandths of a second between him and Custer at the top of our speed charts. So Brad Keselowski is now the time to beat here in qualifying at Atlanta. He has a pole for the All-Star race this year, but no points-paying races in which Keselowski has qualified on the pole so far in 2025. Eric Jones for Legacy Motor Club is now on track. 4th place finish in 2022. His best at Atlanta. He's got 2 next-gen top 10 finishes here. Both with the 43 car, of course. And Legacy Motor Club. Legacy on a bit of a hot streak as of late. 30th in points was Eric Jones several races ago, and he's climbed all the way up to 18th in the standings. Solid, consistent finishes inside the top 20 over the last half a dozen races, and here in qualifying, it looks like he'll be starting around mid-pack for the race this weekend. 15th for Eric Jones, currently 31.358. On to Joey Logano, who's a 2-time Atlanta winner, both under the current configuration. He led 83 laps in the spring race earlier this season. And Logano looking for more on the Auto Trader Ford Mustang as he exits turn 2. He is tracking in the green compared to Keselowski's current top time. And Logano should easily take the top spot, and he does as he crosses the stripe. 30.979 for Joey Logano, as he was well over 1/10 of a second quicker than Brad Keselowski. It's 178.96 mile per hour average on his lap. On to Josh Berry for qualifying, who ended up leading 56 laps in the spring race here earlier this season. He also won stage 1 of that race. His best finish, though, is 18th, which came in 2023. And Josh Berry, very close to Logano on his top time as he ties it to the 1,000th of a second with a 30.979 of his own. But as we go to the next decimal point past the 1,000-second margin, it looks like that is where Joey Logano has Berry beat. But you can't get any closer than that. Wow. So identical lap times at the top of the leaderboard right now between Logano and Berry to the 1,000-second margin. And now we're on to the race winner from the Spring Atlanta race this season of Christopher Bell. It was his only win in his career at Atlanta, though he does have 3 top 5s in his last 5 Atlanta starts. And he is tracking well off of where Logano and Berry's lap times were for moments ago. His teammate Ty Gibbs is currently in 8th. We'll see if he's going to be right around there. I think he will be. Probably just inside the top 10 as Bell crosses the stripe. No, he fell off quite a bit in the second half of that lap. 19th for Christopher Bell, well off of even where his teammate Ty Gibbs is currently at. 31.405 for Christopher Bell. On to Alex Bowman in the 48 for Hendrick Motorsports. Bowman's best finish at Atlanta came in 2021 where he finished third. He only has one top 10 under the current Atlanta configuration. Bowman wraps up his qualifying lap, 6:31.203 for Alex Bowman. Strong lap. Better than the only other HMS Chevy so far in qualifying. Again, 31.203 was that lap for Bowman. John Hunter Nemechek is up next. Nemechek finished 10th in the spring race earlier this season. He also has back-to-back top 10 finishes in the last 2 weeks at Mexico City and Pocono. So momentum is on his side entering this weekend. And he already ran here good in the spring. Qualifying is looking halfway decent for Nemechek. Falling off a bit through turns 3 and 4, just like the Toyota driver who went just before him with Christopher Bell, though. Lost about a 1/10.5 through 3 and 4 in the back half of the lap. Couldn't hold the speed he started off with. 12th for Nemechek, 31.315. And on to Austin Cindric. Cindric, the second of the two Penske Fords to hit the track. His teammate Logano is on the top, and affiliated teammate at the Wood Brothers Racing, the 21 of Barry, is second with the same identical lap time. Austin Cindric has the best finish at Atlanta of third, which came in 2022. 5 top 12 finishes in 6 Atlanta starts for Austin Cindric. As Cindric rounds off a turn 4, he's not going to be where the lap times of Logano and Barry are, but he's going to be not too far off of it. Third for Austin Cindric with a 31.037 on his lap. So Ford's now ranking out the top 5 positions currently in qualifying. And we've got another Ford coming up for RFK, Ryan Preece. Preece has yet to score a top 15 finish in his career at Atlanta. His best finish is 16th, which came last season. Preece rounding out through turns 3 and 4, and he'll be 4th on the grid with a 31.130. So right in front of his teammate Keselowski, 4th for Ryan Preece in qualifying. Ford's locking up the top 6 positions now, which is looking very reminiscent to how they've been qualifying at Atlanta with the current next-gen car and under its current configuration. And with that being said, there are still 2 more Fords to qualify, one of which is up right now, Preece's teammate Chris Buescher. Buescher hasn't had good finishes at Atlanta these last couple of starts here, 30th and 36th, but he does have a career best of 7th 2 different times. And we know the speed that the RFK Fords have at this racetrack. Buescher's going to need that here this weekend. I actually have him going pretty far in my tournament bracket, so hopefully he has a better finish than 30th this weekend. For me to move on through the round of 32, I have him in my final 4, actually. He's my kind of like sleeper pick, I guess, to have a deep run in this thing. And Dale Jr. had him to win the whole thing, so I'm in somewhat agreement with Dale Jr. Got some good tracks coming up. He makes it through this weekend. He's been solid on the road courses, which we have coming up these next couple of weeks, and I think that's going to lend well for him on this bracket. 10th in qualifying for Buescher, so a little bit off of the other Fords. 31.247 currently for him. And on to Kyle Larson. Best finish at Atlanta is 2021, where he finished runner-up, second to Ryan Blaney in the summer race that year. He finished 3rd in the spring race earlier this season, which is by far his best finish under the current Atlanta configuration. Seems to have fast cars here, but can't get a full race together. Never makes it to the end of the race. Well, earlier this spring, he did make it to the end and showed that he has the capability of winning one of these drafting oval races with Hendrick Motorsports. And a good qualifying effort to boot, 31.237. That puts him 9th currently with just a few drivers left to qualify. 4 left after Larson. His teammate Chase Elliott is now on the racetrack in the 9. Elliott has a win under this current configuration at Atlanta, and that came in the summer race of 2022. He has 3 career poles at Atlanta Motor Speedway, including when he had his last win here in 2022. But Ford has been dominant in qualifying so far today. Larson Bowman 8th and 9th. Byron 15th of the other HMS Chevys to make a lap so far. A little bit of a wiggle through the middle of turns 3 and 4. Twitchy with the steering wheel is Elliott. That'll scrub off quite a bit of time. And he's going to be much deeper. 13th, a little bit outside the top 10 compared to the 48 and the 5. So Elliott 13th on the grid, 31.284. And our last 3 drivers for qualifying will be Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, and Denny Hamlin. With Ryan Blaney being up next. 3 straight top 5s for Blaney at Atlanta and 6 straight top 10s. Most active top 10s of any driver in the field and most top 5s consecutively here. But he has not won under the new Atlanta configuration. His only win was in that 2021 race that I mentioned moments ago in the summer under the old configuration. Blaney finishing up his qualifying lap. He's going to be right there with his teammates, but he's not going to be on the front row. He's going to be third, right in front of Austin Cindric, 30.983. It's the third lap time, sub 31 seconds in qualifying so far. 2 drivers to go. Chase Briscoe, who has 4 poles this season, including the Daytona 500 at the start of the year. So maybe Briscoe's got something to upset the Fords at the front of the field. Top 8 positions are all Ford Mustangs currently in qualifying. Briscoe tracking well off of the current top time set by Joey Logano. As he rounds the back straightaway, he's over 1/10 of a second in the red. And he is not going to get the top spot. 10th for Briscoe, not bad. 31.210 for Chase. And last but not least, we have Denny Hamlin. Oh, by the way, Briscoe, best finish at Atlanta, 15th 2 different times in his 9 career starts here. Denny Hamlin, former Atlanta winner. 2012 was the only time he won at this racetrack. He finished 6th in the spring race earlier this season. And as he rounds turn 4, he begins his time trial lap in the King's Hawaiian Toyota Camry. Hamlin hand out the window, or not out the window, but in the window net, trying to block off whatever air he can. That was as he was working his way through turns 1 and 2. We haven't seen many drivers be that aggressive with it. Not looking like a great qualifying lap, though, for Hamlin either. Doesn't seem like that the strategy is helping him much. 33rd for Denny Hamlin, 31.463. So the number 1 seed in our in-season tournament going to be starting deep in the field as he battles Ty Dillon this week. And Dillon will be starting 14th for tomorrow's race. All right, so Joey Logano on the pole. Josh Berry outside of row 1 for the start of tomorrow's Quaker State 400. I'm sure we'll get an interview with our pole sitter Logano here momentarily. You'll get to listen into that. And then we'll go through the full field starting order for tomorrow's race shortly thereafter. So again, Joey Logano and Josh Berry on the front row, with Joey Logano on the pole. Lap time to the same 1,000th of a second. But beyond that, it looks like Logano gonna just slightly get the fastest time over Josh Berry, and can't really get any closer than that. Both having average speeds of 178.96 miles per hour on their qualifying laps.
Break that up. Who can get up in there and separate the Penske cars and try to take over this race? Marty.
Dale, Atlanta continues to be kind to Joey Logano. Won here last fall to advance in the playoffs, winning the pole today. But I got to tell everyone at home, you were a little nervous. Like your teammates were running. You came over to my monitor to go, oh no, how close are they going to be?
Well, you know, we all have the same things, and obviously Team Penske does a great job at building the same cars. It seems like all of us, the top 4 there. So proud of everyone at the shop. Proud of Roushey's engines. This is always a test of, like you said, how close you can build all the cars, but how much speed you can put in them. So yeah, they're fast for qualifying. We'll see what we got in the race, but need to have Auto Trader up front again.
Junior just made a great point about how top 4 Team Penske cars, in essence, with the 21 coming out of your shop. What advantage does that give Team Penske tomorrow night?
Well, obviously, a good pit stall, so that's going to be great. This is a really tight pit road that we're standing on right now. The stalls are super small.
So that should help with that, obviously, with track position. And then keeping numbers together and help control the race is a huge deal. So we're all there to start. A million things can happen throughout the race, but we can control what we can control today. And tomorrow we'll try to work our strategy best we can.
They did it right on Friday. Joey Logano on the pole. We'll see if they can do it right on Saturday night, Alan.
Yeah, the good news for Josh Berry, he's got a fast car. The bad news, you lost on a tiebreaker, man. You can still smile. Did you get everything out of it, every thousandth of a second?
I don't know, 1,000 is not very much, so I'm sure could have squeezed a touch out of it, but just great job by this 21 team. Obviously, everybody at Wood Brothers Racing, Team Penske, to take the top 4 like that, have all the cars that close, just shows a lot about the job they're doing. So just hats off to everybody here at the track and everybody back home in North Carolina. And like I said, it's obviously a great starting spot for us, and we'll go racing tomorrow.
Another time when the Penske Wood Brother cars are great in qualifying. We'll see what they have in the race tomorrow night, guys.
Thank you, Alan. And now we look at the.
All right, so we did end up getting through qualifying entirely, even with the lightning hold in the middle of it. Here's the starting lineup for tomorrow's Quaker State 400 as follows on our screen. Joey Logano, Josh Berry making up the front row in the tiebreaker to Joey Logano to that same 1,000th of a second for qualifying, getting the pole award for this weekend's race. Ryan Blaney, who was the pole winner in the spring, will start third on the inside of row 2, and his teammate Austin Cindric on the outside of that same row. In row 3 will be the RFK Fords of Brian Priest and Brad Keselowski. Row 4, a couple more Fords of Cole Custer and Zane Smith. Our first Chevy in qualifying, Alex Bowman inside of row number 9 with the first Toyota in qualifying, Chase Briscoe in row number 5 starting in 10th. And in row number 6 behind them will be Kyle Larson and Austin Dillon. Chris Buescher, Ty Dillon in row 7. Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs in row 8. Todd Gillen, William Byron, row 9, and then rounding out the top half of the field in row 10, John Nemechek and Riley Herbst. In row 11 will be A.J. Allmendinger and Justin Haley. Tyler Reddick with Bubba Wallace in row 12. Row 13, Corey LaJoie and Eric Jones. Row 14 for Noah Gragson and Christopher Bell. As follows behind them will be Kyle Busch and Carson Hocevar deep in the field. That'll be an interesting row to watch between Bell just ahead of them, and then Busch and Hocevar, row 15. Those could all be strong competitors for the race win tomorrow. And I'd maybe even say for the row behind them as well. Daniel Suarez, Michael McDowell in row number 16. Denny Hamlin, row 17 with Ross Chastain. Then Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch, the Trackhouse teammates in row 18. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., BJ McLeod, row 19. And row 20, rounding out the field, Cody Ware and David Starr. So a lot of strong hitters starting deep in the field tomorrow. Bell, Busch, Hocevar, Suarez, McDowell, Hamlin, Chastain, all starting 28th or worse tomorrow. And I wouldn't be shocked if any one of those guys were able to get to victory lane. They either have one at Atlanta under this configuration. Live commentary stream of qualifying at Atlanta, Echo Park Speedway, for the Quaker State 400 will be live for tomorrow's race at 6:30 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel, and that will be on TNT, their first race coverage of 2025. I will see you guys soon for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race as long as weather holds up. We'll be live for that stream at about 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I would imagine with qualifying running a little bit late with the lightning delay, that race might not start exactly at 7:30 Eastern. So if we go live like 15 minutes after the fact, I'll make sure we get here in plenty of time for the start of the race. But I'll keep you posted in the chat for some reason if we're not ready to go at 7:30. But 7:30 Eastern is the plan for the NASCAR Xfinity race again tonight. Tomorrow, the Craftsman Truck Series is also on, and that will be at Lime Rock Park at 1 p.m. Eastern. So 1 p.m. Eastern, Lime Rock Park for the truck race. Tomorrow, Xfinity tonight at 7:30 Eastern, and Cup racing tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, beginning with our pre-race. We'll go through the in-season tournament more in depth there. We went through the matchups in the stream earlier before qualifying started, but I'll go through each head-to-head matchup more individually in our pre-race show. Appreciate everybody tuning in again. Hit the like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content like this every NASCAR race weekend, and 3 more live commentary streams still to come in the next just over 24 hours. Can't wait. Xfinity racing coming up shortly. See you guys soon, everybody.